I got a DM earlier from a dude that I'm working with. He's a good dude, drives around in a truck, plumber, and knows his stuff, but does not think he can make 20,000 bucks a month. So I'm like, all right, I brought you in with another client, and then you helped us with ours. You're the arm that's actually doing the work. So I want to show these guys who are doubtful of the fact that they're saying, I'm a dude in a truck driving around. How do I go and go from where I'm at right now to making, what I say 20,000 net a month, but it could be more than that. It could be slightly less than that. So you're the marketing dude. Let's talk about what you do. And so basically, what do you do in general?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in general, I help solar companies primarily generate leads, and I would actually book those leads into appointments. And between those two steps, I would qualify the leads for them. So like everyone hates, those kinds of appointments where you show up on scene and then, the guy is not even sure if he wants solar panels installed. So yeah, that's just probably the gist of what I do. And I've been doing it for I would say a bit more than 4 years, actually.
You were marketing for different companies, and then you decided to focus on solar. And you did that specifically, not because you like solar, but because my understanding is you looked at the data, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I had multiple reasons. The first one was obviously the logical decision. I just looked at the data, the money to be made there, how fast can projects be done. And, I was all for it because the niche that I used to serve before, they were really low ticket niche. And it was really difficult for them to retain their customers. And even though it's difficult, that's when they would get the most money from retention, not actually acquisition. So yeah, it was the gym niche, by the way.
Gyms, yeah. You went from gyms.
Yeah, gyms.
Yeah, and that's super interesting. Yeah, I can see how that would be a lower ticket. But the thing I'm driving home for anybody listening to this who's driving around in a truck, who's a contractor or a trade contractor, is that okay? Here's a dude who's got the ability to market anything. Okay, he's selected solar specifically, which to me was really surprising too, because when I despite having money in a solar company now and having clients who are in solar and friends, my gut is like it's just too, especially in Southern California, it's just so we were in it in 2012, so like for me it's like it's just the market is saturated, right? But that's just not the case, and you're finding that you're being effective anywhere, right? Or tell me what about where your clients are and where you're being effective geographically.
Mm-hmm.
US,
Yeah,
because
so
most of my people are in US.
Mm-hmm. Geographically, I have one client from the US, one from UK. He's been working with us for 4 days. I just recently signed him. And my first client was actually from Hungary, which is pretty funny. So, yeah.
So you're finding that there's leads. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is you're finding that you can generate leads now in solar still in anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is people are not really rejecting solar. Most of the people like the idea of having a solar panel. They just they don't really want to get into the nitty gritty of who to pick, how do I pick them, and that's where I would come into play.
Yeah. We could do a whole bunch on solar alone. I mean, we could go an hour on solar, because when you're saying this stuff, it's like just the way to sell solar now is like looking at I was actually talking to somebody the other day. I'll say one more thing on solar, but I want to steer this back to general trade contractors driving around in their trucks. But the thing about solar, the way I was effective in marketing to solar clients, either it was one of three things. It was against the bill. You sold against the electrical utility bill. Two were people who just had this desire to go solar because they wanted green energy and stuff. And then the third one was preppers, people who wanted to be off the grid and had batteries and all that stuff. And the thing about solar is you can and this is a point I want to illustrate to just anybody out there who's a contractor. Is all right. So I've identified three niches within solar, three customer avatars, right? Potential customers. So you create a campaign for each one of those. Like if I'm a solar person, I'm doing a campaign to each one of those. I'm doing an ad for one, an ad for two, and an ad for three. So a lot of times what happens with guys in construction when they're doing their marketing is they're like, look, I do really great solar installations, and that's it. And it's like, well, there's nothing that they're not finding, in other words, in drilling down, and they don't understand that it's cheaper to drill down into those three segments that I described and then put ad money behind each of those than it is to just do one general ad. It takes a little more time, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you shout like for everyone, no one's going to notice. But like if you shout for one specific type of people, then they are going to read your ad. They're going to click on the ad. So it's always best to like niche down to a certain avatar or a certain type of job.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, that's the exact first thing I tell. So in my 20K blueprint that I have for contractors to make 20,000 or more net a month, that's the first thing I do. I'm like, I have to get them to see the fact that yes, you're the greatest electrician ever or you're the greatest roofer ever, but you have to pick a specific um, product within your specialty. Like you're better off picking main panel upgrades or you're better off picking service panel upgrades. Like just say I'm the guy who does service panel upgrades. I say this all the time to people and they're like, well, that's kind of like, I do more than that. And it's like, no shit. But you find your people by saying I'm the guy who does service panel upgrades, because when it comes around and they need a service panel upgrade, the price of that, you can sell it, you can come out and deliver it or install it in one day, and then you can upsell them. You can, by the way, they need new wiring or something like that. So the first thing is getting somebody to be more agnostic about what they choose in terms of their product offering. And then the second thing is going ahead and getting somebody like you on board and then creating a campaign behind that. And that's just where, so tell me about things you've been effective doing in terms of that lead generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with lead generation, it's the problem usually never is generating a large volume of leads. Like you can buy leads for 10 cents. It's that easy. The thing is, you need to find leads who are qualified. Like qualified whether like they would fit your company profile and you're able to do a good job for them. And like qualifying those leads is what really matters, because if you don't qualify them and you just call and go to every lead's home, you're going to like waste half of the appointments, because they would never convert.
Right.
Two, like you could have been doing something else.
So if I was a solar contractor right now, I would say I would need to have one installation a day, one new installation a day, or, sometimes you have to go 2 days on an installation depending on the size of it. But that was what we did. What we did was we sized the systems down. We actually said we want a 4 to 6 kW system. And then we built our crews around being able to install 4 to 6 kW. That was it. Like the people who had 10 kW systems, we would mostly not even go after those. And then people would look at me like, that's crazy. There's all the money in there. It's like, yes, but then there's some drag because you don't know how long it's going to take, or, different roofing types. Like if somebody had a standing seam roof, we would just say no. If they had a clay tile roof, there's a lot of clay Spanish tile in California. Nope. We just discard the job, because we had the abundance of leads coming in to be able to do that. And that's what I'm trying to create for. That's the point of, bringing you on this is to show somebody that, like, you're the master of your trade. This is the person who's going to come in now, the other part of your business that's going to generate an abundance of leads where you can make the decisions that I'm talking about right there, where you can actually say, I'm going to do this type of client only, and then discard all the rest. And that's a scary, scary thing, man. To get that, to get guys to wrap their head around that is an uphill battle.
It is absolutely, because you're always going to think like, hey, like I can do this for them and then just make some money off it. But in reality, the opportunity cost of that is a lot higher than the money you would be getting back from it.
100%. Yeah, well said. And then give me an idea of the cost right now of a Facebook, Instagram campaign. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, most people think that you need to spend a fortune to get started with ads, which is not really true. Like if you want to like have a consistent, well, maybe 3 to 4 jobs a month, then you can do totally fine with like 500 or $600 a month.
Yeah.
You,
And
the
see,
least,
so 3, 4, or
yeah.
5, let's say that again. So 3, 4, or 5 solar jobs a month cost you $600 a month.
Well, at most. And
Yeah.
that there's like with
Crazy.
this like 500 $600, there's always a margin of error there. So even if you mess up, you still have a good chance to land 2 or 3 jobs at least.
So if somebody would come along and let's say like even with your fee in there, so let's say $3,000 a month covers your fees plus their campaign. That's $3,000 a month to generate 5 jobs. I mean, you could be shit. I mean, 5 jobs could be $100K. Like it could be.
Well,
It could be
absolutely.
60 to $100,000. That's insane. Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
How would you go about, like, let's say somebody's a plumber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how would you go about, let's say we created a campaign for them to do tankless water heaters, right? They're going to sit, no more general plumbing, no more routing, no more stuff like that. We're just going to be the tankless water heater guy. How would that look?
How would that look? Well, I mean, first of all you have to do is just call out one audience. Like if you live in an area, you'll be calling out that exact specific area. So not just a city, but in what one region of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to read your ad because they are going to see it as if it was addressed to them specifically. And then, you can go really crazy with the ads, but if you just do a value proposition, like, hey, this is what we can offer, this is how much time would it take for us to do your tankless water heater,
Mm-hmm.
this is our success rate. Yeah, and most of the times that's completely enough. And you can make it a lot better by adding like the amount of jobs you did before, or highlighting the benefits of your previous jobs. And
All right. Another thing I want to talk about too, and I get this a lot from people all the time. I'm sure you do more than I do, but it's that Facebook doesn't work, Instagram doesn't work. I don't want to do LinkedIn because I don't understand it. It's like what I tell them immediately is just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Stay out of the way. You don't know what you're talking about. This is why you hired a marketer, but I'm sure you have more insight on that, and probably have had success reactivating campaigns in platforms that people think don't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the thing is, with platforms, you have Google. That's probably the biggest one. Facebook and Instagram, they're sort of one because they're the same umbrella called Meta. You have
Mm-hmm.
also TikTok, and you have LinkedIn as well, Twitter or X nowadays. And the thing is, most people would develop a bias towards one
Right.
platform. Like they tried one, their campaigns flopped,
Or
and
it's the one
the
they
first thing that
use, or it's the one they
yeah,
use the most, and they
yeah,
think, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So like most of the times, the platform is not actually the problem. Like maybe if you're in a very very specific niche, like you're putting solar panels on industrial or on industrial factories, maybe LinkedIn could be better for you.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
honestly, in most cases, like the platforms that I just told you, like they work. Most of the
Right.
times it's either the copy or the offer that they're running.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the other thing I notice is that quite a few people hesitate or try to avoid complexity, because if it's a task that you have to do yourself and it adds a lot of
Mm-hmm.
complexity to your day, you might want to like delegate it to someone or
Right.
not do it. But
Well, I have something to say on that,
yeah,
because this is how does that apply to my guy in a truck? You're the master of what the guy in the truck is, the master of the trade. You're going to do the work. You're going to supervise the work because that's what you have always done and you're really good at it. You're going to get Zach to do your marketing. Zach's going to come in. He's going to create a campaign across multiple platforms. You're going to shut up. Like if you have a little bit of money, you're going to hire me to do the full picture, like to bring in the copy, the ads, the structure, maybe some operations stuff, maybe convince you, like to make the hone in on the product offer you make and stuff like that, right? But even without it, you can be fine with yourself doing the work, Zach doing your marketing. And I always tell these dudes, and this is the guys who lean into this, I'm telling you, this is the money. Get your woman to do your social media. Get your girlfriend or your wife to do your social. She's already doing it, right? And I know so many who, and then like with a little tweak on top of that of just like telling the story and maybe the two of you together. I mean, you're like they just, you could be Chip and Joanna. You know what I mean? Like if the two of you team up and she comes to the job and she's like, "Hey, what did you do today?" And you're like, "Hey, I did this today." And you give a little value and you show somebody how to change a valve, your social's going to blow up. And if it's the two of you being cute together and you're a cute couple, it's like, I that's the money right there. If they do that, that is like that trifecta. You do the work, hire Zach to do your campaign, your paid ads campaign. Get your girlfriend or your wife there to do your social media. You bring all that together, and I'm telling you, it's 3 months, and you're not making $20K a month. I'll give you $20K. I'll just give it to you out of my pocket because there's no way.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult to fail if you have like two guys who are like really good at what they do. So like one marketer, one one really seasoned guy who is in the trade contractor niche,
right?
And then just one videographer. I mean, if you have a wife, that's like a cheat code because like she's always around you. But if you don't, you can always just hire one, because building a solid social media like over time, it's much more rewarding.
Yeah.
Than just sticking to paid ads only.
Which is why I want to show these guys that if they're driving around their truck and they find somebody like you to go and work with them, that it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, like, paid campaigns are good for like aggressive scale. Like, but at the end of the day, if you build a social media following, you're going to have continuous traffic over time and over time. Like, as long as you have like traffic and followers, like that is basically an insurance for revenue.
Yeah,
that's my take on it. And like paid campaigns are really what like can elevate the whole the whole company by getting a bigger injection of cash flow.
Totally. Oh yeah, that's how you start. You always start with paid. I mean, and you start with paid, and I would say you never even phase paid ads completely out. You keep tweaking those so that it's, because it's always. It dawned on me the other day that the marketing is so cheap right now that you can start your marketing campaign before you even know your business. That's what's crazy. Like building a brand or something like that. You build a brand or start your marketing campaign before you ever start or offer a product. That's how it used to be, where you have to be great at something. And I think this is, I don't know if this really will resonate with the people we're going to send this message out to, but they have to understand, like, it helps to understand just the market that you're in from a wider perspective, right? Which is a market where advertising cost is so cheap right now that that's why I tell these guys you can do $20,000 a month net. And they look at me like I'm stupid. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You can get volume because you can reach that many clients and customers and have that many leads. You can do this, and you can do this without spending $40,000 a month. 20. They're all stuck in this 20 years ago mentality where to generate that much business would have been cost them $20,000, $30,000 a month. It's like you said earlier. It costs $3 grand, like $3 grand. And your campaign starts immediately, and you get the fruit of that campaign. That's a good question. How long does it take from the time they spend the money on ads to see the fruit?
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends a lot, because if you're shooting for larger projects, and it might take time. But if you're shooting for a project that you're zoned in on, it's like not even a week, because like on day one the lead joins, you would call them on that very same day, and if they for some reason not pick up, then you call them the next day, and they usually do. You book the appointment 2 days from there, and
Right.
then boom, like from there is pretty easy. And
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's where I come in. That's like where I would say to somebody, in fairness, like, okay, if you already know you're the dude who's doing what, like if you're the guy, I know a guy who paints gutters, rain gutters. He paints
Rain gutters.
rain gutters.
It's
Yeah,
like the the one
downspouts.
that's side. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the things that are
Uh-huh.
on the side of the side of the roof that
Mhm.
catch the water, and then he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
his specialty niche is he paints rain gutters. He doesn't paint the whole house. He paints rain gutters. It's the most brilliant thing in the world. It's like literally, I saw this dude. I'm like, I met him because I saw his van, and I walked up to him. I'm like, yo, you must be killing it. He goes, yeah, very busy, Mexican guy. I'm like, this is the greatest idea ever. I'm like, do you do any advertising at all? He goes, no, just my van. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, fuck. I'm like, if this dude did a campaign, but he's so smart. He does rain gutters, and then of course he comes down, he paints the rain gutters, and he looks at the house, and the customer looks at him and goes, oh, like my house looks like shit. Do you want to paint that too? And sure enough, he's got a second crew that follows behind. So he's so smart that he does all the sales. So think about it. He's got one guy. Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? This is, and he figured this out on his own. I should get him on this podcast. I should get him on this because this guy figured this out he figured this out on his own. I'm going to sell rain gutter painting, and then I'm going to go out to the customer. I'm going to see the customer for myself because it's real easy for me to paint rain gutters in one day. I can do it, right? Doesn't cost, and he knows what he's doing because he sits there in front of the customer. Customer says, oh, the rest of my house looks like shit. He says, well, I have a crew for that. And he brings all his guys behind him, and the next day he doesn't have to be there, and they do whatever painting. So he does the estimate while he's getting paid to do the estimate, That's brilliant. But like those are the kind of that's the kind of thing that again, going back to my core point here is like finding a way to make finding a way for, if you're a contractor, finding a way for you to get to that point, where you have that niche and then bring somebody like you in. Anyway, I kind of went off track there, but what else do we want to talk about?
I wish I had a bit more time to prepare.
Well, it's fine. We can edit it. So, all right. So Zach, if anybody out there watches this and wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, you're going to find my Instagram username in the description, and all you have to do is just give me a follow or send me a message, and then we can take it from there for sure.
Awesome. And they can get a hold of me too. And if they're somebody who wants the full package, then I bring you in on the job and we would crush it for them. And that's what we do. So, but yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it on short notice. What time is it where you are right now?
It's currently 7 p.m. So it's not too late.
Yeah, that's not that bad. I thought it was like 4 in the